Neutral flag burning, 6 drones, 1 Turkish tanker, Russian oil aflame. Welcome to Expanded Maritime War, May 19, 2026, 02:33 local time, Black Sea, international waters, 180 nautical miles east of Bosphorus Strait, 80 miles off Romanian coast, SCF Baltica, Aframax-class crude oil tanker, flag Turkey, owner Sovcomfloat, Russian state shipping company, registration Turkish convenience flag, cargo 100,000 tons of Russian Urals crude, loaded Novorossiysk, destination Mundra Port, India, value 86 million. This vessel represents sanctions evasion, Russian oil, Turkish registration, Indian destination, bypassing Western restrictions, keeping Russian revenue flowing, financing the war in Ukraine. Kyiv has been watching, tracking, planning. Tonight, Ukraine strikes. The attack comes without warning. Ukrainian maritime drones, 6 units, autonomous surface vehicles, length 5 meters, speed 45 knots, payload 200 kilograms military-grade explosives. These aren't improvised devices. These are purpose-built naval weapons, developed, tested, deployed. Ukrainian defense industry product. They've sunk Russian warships before, damaged the Kerch Bridge, attacked Sevastopol naval base. Now they're targeting commercial shipping. The drones approach from northwest. Low profile, minimal radar signature. Sea state moderate, darkness complete. Perfect attack conditions. SCF Baltica's watch detects nothing until drones are 400 meters away. Too late. First impact at 02:33:17. Drone strikes port side, midship, below waterline. Explosion breaches hull. Crude oil begins leaking. Fire erupts. Second impact 4 seconds later. Starboard side. Same location. Mirrored strike. Both sides of the hull compromised. Flooding accelerates. Third impact hits forward section. Near bow, above waterline. Superstructure damaged. Crew quarters breached. Fourth and fifth impacts almost simultaneous. Aft section, engine room area. Explosions disable propulsion, knockout power. Sixth drone circles, finds target, impacts amidship again. The final blow. The tanker is catastrophically damaged. Fire spreads across oil slick. 100,000 tons of crude oil burning. Smoke visible for 50 miles. Crew abandoning ship. 23 personnel, lifeboats launching, distress signals transmitted. 1 Turkish-flagged vessel, attacked in international waters. Crew includes Turkish, Filipino, and Indian nationals. No Russians aboard. This is Red Sea Doctrine extending to Black Sea, where maritime warfare targets neutral shipping and flags mean nothing. The immediate crisis. 02:47 local time. First distress calls reach authorities. Turkish Maritime Authority receives SOS. Ship under attack. Fire. Abandoning vessel. Position transmitted. Turkey dispatches Coast Guard. Nearest vessel 3 hours away. Romania responds. Patrol boat deployed. ETA 90 minutes. Too far to help immediately. Ukrainian officials receive intelligence reports within minutes. Unnamed sources confirm Ukrainian maritime drones conducted operation. No official statement yet. Russian Foreign Ministry issues alert at 03:15. Turkish-flagged vessel attacked in Black Sea. Suspect Ukrainian terrorist action. Russia demands international condemnation. The framing is immediate. Terrorist action, not military operation. Turkey faces impossible position. Ankara maintains relations with both Russia and Ukraine, buys Russian gas, sells Ukrainian drones, profits from both sides. Now Turkish-flagged vessel burning, must respond. But how? Blame Ukraine and anger Kyiv. Blame Russia for using Turkish flags and anger Moscow. Blame neither and look weak. By 04:00, crew rescued by Romanian patrol boat. All 23 personnel safe. Minor injuries, no fatalities, lucky. The tanker continues burning, dead in water, drifting. 100,000 tons of crude oil creating environmental disaster. Slick spreading 12 miles long, 3 miles wide, heading toward Romanian and Bulgarian coasts. Who's responsible for this attack? A. Ukraine defending against sanctions evasion. B. Russia for false flag to discredit Ukraine. C. Third party trying to escalate conflict. Most evidence points to A, but Kyiv stays silent. The diplomatic explosion, 0730 GMT. Turkey convenes emergency security meeting. President chairs, foreign minister, defense minister, intelligence chief, maritime authority, all present. The questions are direct. Was this Ukrainian attack? Why Turkish-flagged vessel? What's Turkey's response? Intelligence confirms. Drone signatures match Ukrainian systems. Attack pattern consistent with previous Ukrainian operations. Launch point calculated Ukrainian-controlled coast. No doubt, Ukraine did this. Foreign minister asks critical question. The ship flew Turkish flag. International law considers attack on flagged vessel as attack on flag state. Do we invoke this? Defense minister responds, ship is Russian-owned, Russian-operated, Russian cargo. Turkish flag is convenience registration. We collect fees. We provide no protection. We are not obligated to respond militarily. President decides, we condemn the attack. We demand compensation for Turkish flag violation. We call for investigation, but we do not escalate militarily. Pragmatic, calculated, profitable. Turkey won't fight Ukraine over Russian-owned ship. Meanwhile, Russia pressures Turkey. Foreign minister calls Ankara. Turkish vessel attacked. Turkey must respond. Demand Ukrainian accountability. Support Russian position at UN. Turkey deflects. We're investigating. International law is complex. We'll respond appropriately. By 10 GMT, Ukraine breaks silence. Defense Ministry statement. Ukrainian forces conducted precision strike against vessel transporting Russian oil in violation of international sanctions. Cargo financed Russian aggression against Ukraine. Ship used Turkish flag to evade restrictions. This is legitimate military target. The statement is bold. Ukraine just declared all Russian oil shipments fair game, regardless of flag, regardless of ownership structure. If it finances Russia's war, it's targetable. International law experts debate immediately. Does sanctions evasion make commercial vessel military target? Does neutral flag provide protection? What are rules of naval warfare regarding third-party shipping? Answers are unclear. Maritime law written for different era doesn't address drone warfare, doesn't cover sanctions enforcement through military action. Gray zone. NATO issues statement, carefully worded. We note incident involving Turkish-flagged vessel. International maritime law must be respected. We encourage all parties to avoid escalation. Translation. We're not defending Russian oil shipments, even on allied Turkish flags. European Union is more supportive of Ukraine. Sanctions evasion undermines international efforts to pressure Russia. We understand Ukraine's frustration. However, attacks on commercial shipping raise concerns. Half support, half criticism. Typical EU response. India protests strongly. Attack on vessel carrying cargo to India is unacceptable. International shipping must be protected. We demand Ukraine cease such actions. Delhi is angry. Their oil supply attacked. Their energy security threatened. But India has limited leverage over Ukraine. China joins condemnation. Attacks on commercial shipping violate international norms. Black Sea must remain open to trade. Beijing worried. If Ukraine can strike oil tankers, Chinese shipping is vulnerable too. One tanker burning, 5 nations with conflicting positions. No resolution in sight. Is this the new normal for Black Sea shipping? Comment Y or N. The precedent problem. Within 48 hours, implications become clear. Ukraine demonstrated capability and will to strike any vessel carrying Russian oil. Doesn't matter what flag, doesn't matter where. If it supports Russian economy, it's target. Immediate effect, insurance markets, panic. War risk premiums for Black Sea shipping increase 600%. Some underwriters refuse coverage for Russian oil cargoes entirely. Too risky, uninsurable. Shipping companies recalculate. Turkish-flagged vessels previously charged premium rates for Russian oil transport. Good business. Now that business is suicide mission. 6 major shipping lines cancel contracts for Russian oil transport. Market conditions changed. Cannot accept risk. Russian oil exports from Black Sea ports drop 38% in 1 week. Novorossiysk terminal sees ship cancellations. Tuapse port loses bookings. The maritime blockade Ukraine couldn't achieve militarily, they're achieving through fear. Strike one ship, terrify entire industry. Russia scrambles for solutions. Increase use of Russian-flagged tankers, but Russian vessels already under sanctions. Limited port access. Restricted insurance. Can't replace Turkish and Greek convenience flags. Offer higher payments to shipping companies. Some accept. Premium of 40% above normal rates. But even that doesn't fully compensate for 600% insurance increase. Route oil through pipelines instead. But pipeline capacity is limited. Can't handle all Black Sea export volume. The Ukrainian drone attack achieved strategic effect beyond single ship. Disrupted entire Russian maritime export system. According to energy analysts, Russia could lose $2.3 billion monthly if shipping disruption continues. That's $27.6 billion annually. From 6 drones costing perhaps $600,000 total, return on investment 46,000%. Asymmetric warfare mathematics favor Ukraine overwhelmingly. Red Sea Doctrine principle. One attack creates systemic fear. The retaliation question. Russia faces response dilemma. Ukraine attacked commercial shipping, violated neutrality of Turkish flag, created environmental disaster. Precedent must not stand. But how to respond? Option 1. Strike Ukrainian ports, Odessa, Mykolaiv. Destroy drone production and launch facilities. But Ukraine has air defenses. Attacks are costly, and Ukrainian ports already damaged. Not much left to hit. Option 2. Target Ukrainian shipping. But Ukraine has minimal maritime commerce. War already destroyed most shipping. No equivalent targets. Option 3. Strike Ukrainian infrastructure. Power plants, bridges, rail hubs. But Russia already does this. Escalation won't change much. Option 4. Target third-party ships supporting Ukraine. Vessels bringing weapons, humanitarian aid, grain exports, dangerous. Could trigger NATO response, expand war. Unacceptable risk. Option 5. Accept the loss, absorb the damage, adjust operations. Admit Ukraine controls Black Sea maritime domain. Humiliating, but possibly only viable option. May 21st. Russia chooses modified option 1. Missile strikes on Odessa port infrastructure. 12 caliber cruise missiles. 3 hit targets. 9 intercepted. Damage is minimal. Ukraine's air defenses improved. Russian strikes less effective. Symbolic retaliation. Doesn't address root problem. Ukraine's maritime drones still operational. Launch sites are mobile, difficult to target. Next attack could happen anytime. The escalation spiral. May 24th. Second Ukrainian drone attack. Target tanker NS Champion. Panamanian flag. Russian oil. Bound for China. 4 drones, 2 impacts. Tanker damaged but stays afloat. Crew safe. Cargo intact. But message sent. Ukraine will continue striking. May 27th. Third attack. Tanker Minerva Alexandra. Liberian flag. Russian oil. India destination. 3 drones, 1 impact. Minor damage. Ship continues voyage. Pattern established. Ukraine targeting every Russian oil shipment, regardless of flag. Most attacks don't sink ships. Don't need to, just need to hit them. Prove vulnerability, create fear, insurance companies respond. War risk coverage for any vessel carrying Russian oil now requires 800% premium, effectively uninsurable for many companies. By June 1st, Russian Black Sea oil exports down 62% from pre-attack levels. Revenues collapsing, budget crisis looming. Turkey faces secondary crisis. Hundreds of vessels use Turkish convenience flags. If flags provide no protection, why pay registration fees? Turkish Maritime Registry sees cancellations. Revenue from flag fees drops. Ankara protests to Ukraine. Attacking Turkish-flagged vessels damages our interests. We demand cessation. Ukraine responds diplomatically. We regret Turkey's position, but we will not allow Russian sanctions evasion through flag manipulation. Ships transporting Russian military funding cargo are legitimate targets. Translation: change your flag policy or we keep attacking. Turkey adjusts. New regulations. Russian-owned or Russian cargo vessels cannot register under Turkish flag. Existing registrations revoked. Revenue loss accepted. Better than continued attacks and reputation damage. Other flag states follow. Panama, Liberia, Marshall Islands. All implement restrictions on Russian-affiliated shipping. The flag of convenience system that enabled sanctions evasion is collapsing. Ukraine achieved through drone warfare what diplomatic pressure couldn't accomplish. What breaks next? Russian oil exports, flag registration systems, or Black Sea shipping entirely? The environmental disaster. Meanwhile, the SCF Baltica still burns. 10 days after attack. Fire finally controlled May 29th, but damage is catastrophic. The tanker's cargo, 100,000 tons of crude, mostly burned or leaked. Oil slick affected 240 square miles of Black Sea. Romanian and Bulgarian coasts contaminated. Cleanup cost estimated at $890 million. Who pays? Shipowner Sovcomflot is sanctioned Russian entity. No assets to seize. Insurance policy, if one existed, wouldn't cover act of war. Ukraine claims no responsibility for environmental damage. Russia caused this by evading sanctions. Russia blames Ukraine. Terrorist attack created disaster. Turkey stuck with cleanup bill. Ankara demands international assistance. EU provides $200 million. Romania and Bulgaria contribute, still insufficient. Black Sea fishing industry suffers. Contaminated waters, catch restrictions. Tourist season damaged. Beach closures, economic impact compounds. Beyond shipping disruption, beyond oil export losses, environmental and economic damage spreads. One drone attack, 10 days of fire, $890 million in cleanup costs, decades of environmental recovery, the true cost of maritime warfare, the new reality. By mid-June, Black Sea maritime environment fundamentally changed. Russian oil exports continue, but reduced, more expensive, riskier. Ships transit quickly, minimal time in Ukrainian drone range. Routes adjust, hug Turkish coast, stay near NATO waters. Hope proximity to alliance provides deterrence. Ukrainian drones continue operations. Not every ship attacked. Target selection is strategic. Hit enough to maintain fear. Not so many that international community intervenes. Balance between pressure and escalation. Turkish flag convenience registry effectively dead for Russian-affiliated shipping. Flag states implement controls. The loophole closed. Insurance markets price Black Sea risk as war zone. Commercial shipping that can avoid the area does. Only essential traffic continues. The sea that once carried vibrant trade now hosts combat operations, where commercial vessels are military targets, where flags provide no protection. where environmental disasters are accepted costs. This is Red Sea Doctrine's darkest application. Maritime warfare without rules, without limits, without regard for consequences beyond immediate tactical gain. The Doctrine Lesson. Red Sea Doctrine teaches modern naval warfare respects no boundaries, not geographic, not legal, not moral. Ukraine's attack on Turkish-flagged tanker carrying Russian oil demonstrated new reality. In existential conflict, neutrality is fiction. Convenience is irrelevant. Flags are ignored. If vessel supports enemy economy, it's targetable. Consequences, diplomatic protests, environmental damage, insurance chaos are secondary to strategic goal. Disable enemy revenue, disrupt enemy supply chains, demonstrate reach and capability. Traditional maritime law assumes rational actors, limited wars, respect for neutrals. Protection for commercial shipping. Those assumptions don't apply in Ukraine-Russia conflict. Total war logic prevails. Every ship, every cargo, every dollar, all assessed for contribution to enemy war effort. Contributions are targeted. The international community protests, but takes no action, because deep down they understand Ukraine's logic. Russia evades sanctions through maritime tricks. Ukraine counters through maritime force. Harsh, dangerous, effective. Final assessment: 6 drones, 1 tanker destroyed, 23 crew rescued, 100,000 tons of oil burned, 890 million in environmental damage, 62% drop in Russian Black Sea oil exports, Turkish flag registry system collapsed, Black Sea transformed into war zone, all from single attack. The SCF Baltica burning marked inflection point, proof that maritime warfare expanded beyond military targets. Commercial shipping now fair game. Neutral flags meaningless. Economic warfare and kinetic warfare merged. Will attacks continue? Will other conflict zones adopt Ukrainian tactics? Will commercial shipping survive in war zones? These questions haunt maritime industry. Subscribe to Red Sea Doctrine, where sea power decides everything. The next tanker is already loading. The next drone is already launching. The next neutral flag is already burning. Understanding naval warfare means understanding nothing is neutral anymore. Stay informed, stay ahead. Red Sea Doctrine. Trade routes, missiles, and war, where even allies' flags burn.